By now, we all have heard of generative AI, and most of us, probably also you, have already tried out tools like ChatGPT or Google's Bard, and we're playing around with those tools and see what can be done. However, it's probably not so obvious when it comes to real life use cases how these tools can help to improve efficiencies. So in today's video, we are going to pick one specific use case and take a look what we can be doing with generative AI to significantly save time. Hello and welcome. My name is Peter B and I welcome you here at My First Million, where we are achieving our financial goals together. So this is the first video of a generative AI mini-series that I'm planning to do. And why I'm doing that on this channel here? Because one part of personal finance is earnings. So in order to ensure your competitive advantage on the job market, you want to make sure that your skill sets are also up to date. And therefore, especially now, I believe with what I'm seeing at my job, I believe we are at the beginning of a huge transformation of efficiency boosts. Thanks to new technologies like large language models that get implemented at a very fast pace into many tools at your workspace. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's example. And the example that we are taking a look at is content creation, but much more specific. For use cases, you want to be very specific what exactly you want to do with a large language model and generative AI. In our today's use case, our goal is to write a blog post based on a YouTube video. For this, let me jump onto YouTube first. So this is my channel, currently at 40 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe it's a big support for my channel if you could be subscribing. But for this, let's just take a look at one of the videos. Maybe as we are shortly before Christmas, maybe you can choose a Christmas related theme. And by the way, you see the thumbnail here with the Christmas tree? This was also created by generative AI. So now let's take a look at what we want to do here. This video example is about 16 tips of how to save money on Christmas gifts. And let's say this is maybe not only a great source of content for my YouTube channel, but also for my blog. I maybe have a use case where I want to write a blog post with the same content, maybe with slight modification, but basically the same content, so that I can share my valuable content across platforms. How am I able to achieve this? One thing good to know is YouTube. If you click into the description on more and scroll down, YouTube has a section here that is called transcripts. And if you click on show transcript, YouTube will show you the automatically generative transcript of this YouTube video. And you have two options. One, you can have it with timestamps, or the other option, you can toggle off the timestamps. So YouTube is helping us to get the transcript of the video. So now where does generative AI comes into play? As a next step, we are going to use a large language model to transform the transcript into a blog post. How we can do that? Of course, there are different tools that you can be using. I would recommend to check out a tool that is called LastMileAI, because one beautiful thing about LastMile, it will let you choose different language models in one workbook. So next, we are going to do exactly two things. First, we will prepare a workbook, a standardized workbook, which we can use for transforming a transcript into a blog post. And second, we will use this as a template. What we are doing, building up first, is then a template that can be reused over and over again for every other future video that you want to transform from video content into written content. So first, we have a new workbook here. If you want to try along, you can also create the new workbook here by going on workbooks and then press on the plus sign. In the last mile workbook, you have different cells, and in each cell you can select what kind of large language model you can be using. So for instance, you could use GPT-4, or in other use cases, when you feel like Palm is better, you can use Palm instead. You also have some options from text to speech or speech to text. And also with DALL-E 3 and Stable Diffusion, you even have some image generation large language models here. So let's say for our use case, we want to be using GPT-4. And by the way, I'm currently here on an unpaid plan. So if you want to test out the functionalities, the power of GPT-4, you can try it here on LastMileAI for free. So what we're doing here now is we are going to copy the whole transcript into the prompt. So I copy this. Now let's go back to the last mile workbook. Maybe let's give a title first. YouTube transcript to, let's say, blog post. You can add a description if you want, but we skip this for now. And then you can directly choose what language model, large language model you want to be using. For this use case, maybe just let's choose GPT-4 and copy paste, and we have entered the whole transcript here. So now we need to give a command, and the beautiful thing here with LastMile, you can easily distinguish between the human prompt and the system prompt. The human prompt is basically the text that you want to get changed into blog post, and the system prompt is basically the exact descriptions that you want to give. For example, here we can say grounding the system with a situation. You are a content writer for a personal finance magazine. Then tell in the system prompt what you want to be doing with the transcript. Based on the following transcript, please write a blog post. Then if you get some experience with testing, you know that you might need to give additional directions, like adding a title. Make sure to add a title, blog post. And maybe you also want to give some direction in the style. Use a friendly but still professional. And last but not least, because you're the owner of both the YouTube video and also the blog post, or if you are using another person's YouTube video, hopefully you have get the permission for it, or at least are giving credits to the person. Please So let's add therefore a reference to the YouTube video. So to summarize, you are a content writer for Personal Finance magazine based on the following transcript. Maybe be a bit more specific here, from one of your YouTube videos. Write a blog post. Make sure to add a title to the blog post. Use a friendly, approachable, but still professional style. Please include a reference to the YouTube video. So you also have some settings here, but we don't touch those for this example. And now what we can do, just execute cell. So executing the cell, what will happen? It will automatically start to write. Similar like what you see when you're using ChatGPT. You see it adds a title here, gives usually introduction. I have 16 bullet points listed in the video, so it's going to use all the 16 bullet points. And here you see at the end it's even referencing back to the YouTube video. So of course, before publishing, you might wanna proofread this and see if everything is accurate and according to the content that you wanna create. However, that's probably only the beginning. Maybe you wanna even do more out of this. So you see here, we have cell 1. We are using cell 1. Now, what we can be using, here's the blog post. We can create additional content creation based on the output or the input of a previous cell. So let's say we are just using the output from cell 1. So we are in cell 2 now. So this is the blog post. The output is the blog post here. We are reusing this. And let's say you are doing the same again. But this time what we want to be doing is also translating the blog post into German. Like in my use case, I am German native speaker, so earlier or later I want to maybe also have a blog running in German. So instead of writing the blog post, you want to translate it. So we'll adjust this, translate the following blog post to German. So we already have the title, so we don't need this. Maybe we keep the style so that even in German we are using a friendly, approachable, but still professional style. We again reference back to the YouTube video, but we already have this in the blog post, so we don't need this for the translation. But what we could be using, like in German language, you have like a formal or informal language styles. So maybe let's say for my blog post, I use informal language style. Then we can state this here. So use informal language for the translation, which means in German you will be using, if you are translating you, in German you will be using du instead of sie. So now let's run this. Let's take a look what will happen. It will translate the blog post from above. At this point, we are just testing out the functionality. Of course, you want to review if everything is generated according to expectations. If not, you can always get more specific in the system prompt. So if you feel like maybe the style is not 100% what you need, or maybe there's some issues with the content that are created, you can always adjust and optimize the system prompt. So let's scroll down again. By now, the German text also has been translated. So now let's go even one step further. Let's say we want to publish this content also through Facebook. We want to put a Facebook post, which then is linking back to the blog post. So we can also do that then again. For this, again, maybe we go back to English. So we will use the content created in cell 1. So output. So this is referring back to the cell 1's output. If I want to refer back to the transcript, I don't need to enter the transcript here. I could just, instead of output, replace output with input. But now let's do the same. You're a content writer of a personal magazine. Then you can say you have written the following blog post or the following article for your blog. So now we want to maybe summarize the blog post for Facebook. So please summarize the blog post to 4 to 5 sentences. And then we also again want to refer back for more in-depth insights, refer back to the blog. Refer. So make sure to also reference back to the blog post for further details. So what should happen now with the system prompt and with the blog post as the input for cell 3, it should generate me a summary. Let's see how long is it getting. Maybe if I feel like it's too long or too short, I can adjust the system prompt again. So you can see here, according to the instruction, it's referring back to the blog post. And it's also mentioning if you want to know more or learn more, it's worth revisiting the blog post. So with this, based on the transcript, we are able just to create 3 pieces of content very easily. First, we have the transcript and write the blog post. Then we also have a German version of the blog post. And then we have a summary of the blog post for our Facebook page. So of course, before publishing, you want to review the content, maybe proofread it, make sure that everything is written correctly, maybe do some slight adjustments here or there, but overall, the quality here is pretty solid. So this alone probably already saves us hours of work if we want to translate the content from the YouTube video into the blog post. However, now let's get even supercharge it. We can set this as a template. So once as we have set this up as a template, we can reuse it over and over again. So let me show you how it's get done. First, we want to maybe remove the transcript. Then let's go over to YouTube and maybe we want to do the same for another of my video. Maybe let's take this one. Boosting your career based on Alex Hormozzi's career advice. Again, we are doing the same. We are searching for the transcript in the description. Show transcript. Then we are copying the transcript and go back to the AI workbook that we already have created before. And the only thing that I need to do now is simply enter the transcript of the second video. I don't need to do any adjustments here again. If I already optimized the system prompt, I don't need to do any adjustments. So what I can be doing, I can be now running all cells one by one, or I can just run them all at once. So what will happen, they will execute automatically one after the other. And what is the logic? The first logic is, of course, it is writing the blog post for the career tips. And then let magic happen, as we are referring back to the first cell's output. You will see, as soon as the first cell is finishing, so the second cell is already generating, and the third cell also already generates. So you see the second cell takes longer because it's a long blog post to translate, whereas the summary takes much faster and it's already completed. With this workbook in LastMile, we just created 3 pieces of content, but we can spin this further and further and add and build up additional layers of content based off just one piece of content. Maybe we can do additional translations, maybe we can also write tweets, or maybe we can ask the large language model to transcribe some YouTube shorts for us based on this content. I believe this example here was beautifully demonstrating how much you can improve efficiency when you work with large language models like ChatGPT or like tools like LastMileAI. How long did it took us to set this up? I believe quite a bit less than 30 minutes. Of course, if we want to improve quality a bit, we need maybe to modify and optimize the system prompts so that the tonality and the pieces of content really work out in a way that we are expecting it to do so. So I don't do any verification, but maybe I can put 1 or 2 more additional hours to just optimize the system prompts to really get very beautiful pieces of content out of it. And then after that, after we did this once as a template, we can reuse this template over and over and over. So nearly we don't need to spend any time anymore for content creation once we have this first piece of content, which in our case here is the video, the YouTube video. Instead, in the future, the majority of my time will be just in checking of the quality of the outputs and then publish the content on those different platforms. So before I finish up this video, just a quick disclaimer. I don't have any affiliate links or I don't have any benefits showcasing or using LastMileAI. However, for providing full transparency, I have a project in collaboration with LastMile at my work where we are exactly using their workbooks for a specific project. So based on my user experience, I highly recommend to check out LastMileAI, check out their workbooks, play around with it. But again, to make it clear, I didn't receive any sponsoring for this video. So coming back to the topic, this was just one use case. There could be numerous of use cases that you can be using large language models and tools like LastMile. What kind of use cases have you maybe already used? Did you already use large language models for some other use cases? Or do you have any ideas what you can be doing with large language models like GPT-4 or Palm in order to increase your productivity and your output? Please share your ideas with us in the comments below. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and especially I look forward to seeing you winning financially.